All right. Well, hello and welcome to another week of our City of Mist campaign, The Reaper Soldiers. We are joined with 3 at the moment, but we're actually going to have a full crew, a full 5. They will be a couple of stragglers will be joining us here in a little bit. So we do have a newcomer to our group, Maru, who will be playing Georgie, who we will be introducing and meeting here in a little bit, but we will also have Spoon as William, BP as Blanche, we'll have Faison as Mike, and Oz returning as Eric. So I think it should be a lot of fun tonight. We have some catching up to do, and you guys had just kind of started dealing with a new issue. So, as we fade into today, it is again Tuesday. We've actually gone back a little bit in time, as we're in the residential area. Day's still pretty cloudy, but it hasn't started to rain yet. And we're looking at a fairly wide single-story building. On the front of the door, it marks the Beacon Clinic. We enter the door and we see that it's not very well staffed. There's a couple nurses that are at the nurse station, maybe a doctor, so probably about 10 or so patients that are in the waiting room. Maybe about 30 or 40 rooms, and there's clearly a surgical area, but we don't really go back there. No, instead we head down one of the rooms. Everything's clean, pristine, white, a bit too bright. You can almost smell the ammonia in the air just from how clean it looks. We come to a door. Door's open, and inside, on one of the chairs, is a gentleman. He's wearing dark blue, and on his armband, he has a mark of the Metropolitan Police. He's sitting there with his helmet in his lap, and he has his legs crossed, kind of just leaning back, and he's staring across the room. As we come across behind him, we see William laying there in a hospital gown, white with a bit of blue specks on it, it seems. He's tucked in, his arms are exposed, and you see bandages are around his arm, kind of going up to his shoulder on one side. You can see some bruising on his face, and he does have some of his chest exposed, and there's some bruising on his chest as well. His hairs seem to be combed back, kind of dark black hair that's been combed back onto the pillow. And he lays there with his eyes closed. The room itself is fairly sparse. There's a area kind of in the corner of the room that seems to have some medical tools, supplies, things to get by. And there's another chair, and on that chair there actually rests a handbag, but there doesn't seem to be anyone that's accompanying that bag at the moment. William, you wake up with kind of a stir, almost a shock, and you take a moment to readjust your eyes as the sunlight's coming through the white blinds that are there kind of off to your right side, causing the room to be almost too bright. After you take a moment, kind of rub your eyes and reawaken, you feel the soreness in your body, and you come to the recollection, oh yeah, I was brought to the hospital, wasn't I? In your mind, you just broke out from a jail cart. You escaped from being brought to jail and made your way across the blue collar residential area, where unfortunately you bumped into one of the superintendents of the school district who saw you were in pretty bad shape and took you to the clinic. But as your eyes readjust, you look over and you see that there's a constable sitting across from your room, his arms crossed. His head's down. It doesn't seem that he's noticed you quite yet, but you definitely see him. What would you like to do?
Well, as far as I remember, I was trying to get home, so let's do that. Let's just leave.
Okay. So you begin to move the sheets down and turn to stand, and the constable kind of, looks up. It looks like he might have been starting to snooze a bit. You've awakened. No, please don't get out of the bed yet, sir. Please just lay back down. Lay back down.
I want to sit up. I gotta sit up.
That's fine. Just sit there. Just sit on the edge of the bed for me, if you don't mind. Just stay there.
Why? What have I done? Why are you here? Why am I here?
He looks at you. You know why I'm here. You didn't suffer any mental injuries.
What?
Okay. Go. Nurse calls back. You hear someone kind of respond and begin to walk by. He drags the chair over to the side of the bed and kind of sits it down so that if you have your knees over the side of the bed, he's looking right at you. You see that his badge has the name Griffin on it. Again, he's just a constable, and he pulls out a notepad and he sits back. William Harvard, is that correct?
Is it? I don't seem to have my ID on me, so I don't know.
Sir, I'm not here to play games. I don't think you are as well. Let's keep the conversation cordial. Just answer the questions that I have, and we can go about our day. How's that sound?
But I want to go home.
Absolutely. And you can. Just answer a few of my questions. Let me resolve what needs to be resolved, and we'll go about our day.
Okay.
So, William Harvard. That's correct?
Sounds right to me.
And you work at the private school here in the residential area. Married to Jillian Harvard? Is that correct?
Yeah. So far, so good.
Earlier this day, do you remember where you were, what you were doing this morning?
Sort of.
Just tell me, what do you remember before you got here? What's the last thing you can recall?
There was this big dude with horns, and we were fighting in some kind of maze, and there was lots of drugs everywhere, and then police, and then hospital.
He begins writing down, and a nurse kind of looks very grandmotherly, kind of makes her way in. Yes, you called me. Yeah, would you be able to fetch Mr. Harvard maybe some water? We have a bit of talking to do. Just to confirm, the injuries he suffered, nothing to his head. She kind of goes over to the side of your bed, pulls a file, looks through it. I don't know, a few lacerations, a few cuts, a few bruises, but nothing that should affect his mental capacity. But it's hard to tell. He didn't really have a clear statement for what had occurred to him. So I can fetch the doctor if you wish. Perhaps he might be able to provide more information. He is currently with other patients. The constable looks to her. No, that won't be necessary for the time being. And as they're having this conversation, you look out and there's a face that kind of peeks around, and you see the face of Jillian. You see the face of your wife that hasn't slept for a night. Looks like she's probably been crying a bit, but she just kind of looks in and sees that you're awake and kind of gives you a forced smile, and just kind of waits there in the hallway, just kind of watching what things are happening. The nurse goes to fetch your water, and he kind of moves in a bit closer to you. All right, well, you mentioned an interaction with the police. Can you provide more information about that? Where were you? Who did you speak to? What was the reason of this interaction?
Hold on. I have to, since I don't actually remember names because it's been so long. Do I have it in the notes? I thought I had it in the notes.
Pascal Vallone.
Yeah, that. Inspector Vallone. He was there. There was some other officers. I don't know. Somebody blamed me for something that I didn't do, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was confusion, and then running, and now I'm here.
I see. Let me be more blunt with you, Mr. Harvard. You see,
Sure.
if it hadn't have been for about an hour ago, my task, my responsibility was to sit here until you awoken so that I could place you in handcuffs and take you to the King's Route station. You did break out of custody today, attempted to escape.
What? Oh my! Oh no!
But things have changed. Yes, orders from higher up, it seems. Someone is looking out for you. So, what can you tell me about an individual named Shine Lam? Shin Lim? Shin? What can you tell me about the individual named Shin?
Oh, that prick. Yeah. Yeah, he's a jerk. I don't know where he is. He drugged me. I think he did. There was it was real blurry there for a while. He helped me fight the guy that was trying to kidnap the kid. What was it? It was Hans Bexley. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Turns out he's the jerk, and he betrayed us.
Well, look, Mr. Harvard, we know what he looks like. We have his physical description, but we don't really know who he associates with, where he might associate with them. It seems that, the Chief Inspector is requesting as much information as you could possibly offer. Again, the more information you can provide, the more likely we will be on locating this suspect.
Look, you know what I know.
This was the first time you interacted with him? Have you met with him before? Did he seem to travel with any individuals that you can recall?
There was a black carriage. There was a house. You have a map?
The house. Not on me. What can you remember from this house?
It was a drug den.
Do you remember street names, locations, any sounds, anything
down
that
by
might...
the harbor.
By the harbor. Okay.
One of them run-down houses down there. If I had a map, I could show you where it was, but I don't have a map. You don't have a map.
Do you recall what district or said by the harbors? Was it in the harbor itself? Oh.
Look,
Do you remember
I think
which harbor it was?
There's more than one harbor.
Well, of course, as you know, living here, the blue-collar district, we have our own kind of personal harbor. There's the main harbor, but that's mostly for, well, as you know, the shipping here. But nearly every district has their own few docks or anything like that attach to the river. Do you remember the color of the house? If there were any trees or...
I think it was gray. I think there was a tree. Yeah, there was a tree. There was probably a guy in the tree, last I remember.
Guy in a tree.
He was put there against his will, but he was in a tree. There was the cafe. Yeah, the Cocoa Gate. Yeah. Cocoa Cafe, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That's in downtown. No, that's
in
that's
that
the one
fancy...
near the gated
Yeah.
community. Yes. What
Yeah.
was?
They were selling drugs there.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And then, strangely, everywhere that Shin Lim was, that Vione fellow was there too.
Yes. Inspector Bayonne is very well. We call him the Bloodhound. He gets on a scent and he doesn't let go. All right. Well, this is good. This is good. It gives us a direction. Anything else you can remember? Anything that might help us to bring this suspect into custody?
I'm sure he's probably very injured as well.
So check hospitals. Very good. Very good. All right. Well, Mr. Harvard, as I mentioned, appears someone out there is looking out for you. All charges against you have been dropped. However, I do need to do something, and then I'll get out of your hair. He stands up and he reaches into one of his pockets and he pulls out a pair of scissors. And he goes to reach to the back of your head and pull a strand, and it looks like he's going to cut some hair.
Whoa, hey, I don't need a haircut.
Sir, it's a direct request from the chief inspector that I do remove some of your hair.
I don't need a haircut.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Look, I can kind of...
You're not even a trained barber. What's wrong with you?
Sir, we could do this with the scissors, or I could just pull some out. The choice is up to you.
I'm gonna stand up.
As you try to, he puts his hand on your shoulder to keep you on the bed. Do you attempt to resist?
I'm gonna put my hands on his shoulders and use him to stand up.
Okay, let's go toe to toe to
yeah,
miss or to get out of the restraint. What tags are you gonna use?
We're gonna use Indomitable and Terrifying.
All right, let's see, Mr. William. Feel like you have any weakness tags?
Probably aggressive behavior, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead and use that and go toe to toe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. As you reach up and grab him, what are the two you're going to choose from as you attempt to stand?
I want to achieve my goal, and I just want to let's see. I want to block, dodge, or counter their best attempts. I don't want him cutting my hair.
Okay.
It's my hair. You know how long it took to grow this?
So as you stand, you have probably a good 3 inches or so on him. So his arm kind of bolts up, probably expecting you to be a bit weaker, having been in the hospital. And he sees this and he kind of backs away. All right, Mr. Harvard. Look, you want to go home. I understand.
Give me the scissors. It's okay. I'm not having you cut willy-nilly at my hair.
All right.
If you have to have it, give me the scissors.
Very well.
Lead me to the bathroom.
Turns him over. You kind of looks. Bathroom. What do you need, a mirror? Is that what you're looking for?
Sure.
So he hands you the scissors and goes over to the variety of tools, and he kind of flips them off a tray and comes back with like a metal tray.
That'll work. I'll snip my bangs.
Okay. He rips out a sheet from his notebook and has you place them in the paper. And you like hear him muttering under his breath, "Weirdest fucking task I've ever done." He like takes it, folds it, puts it in his pocket, takes his notebook, folds it. All right, I do believe your wife is here to see you as well. That is all that I have for you. So thank you for your information. I do hope that we don't have to interact again. You have a great rest of your day, Mr. Harvard.
Yeah.
So as he goes, he picks up his helmet from the chair and kind of makes his way out. He bows his head or kind of nods to Jillian, and she rushes in and just grabs you, a big hug, kind of knocks you back onto the bed. Kind of hurts a little bit, and she just kind of holds you, and she's trembling. She's just kind of sobbing and not saying anything, just trying to hold on to you.
It's okay. I'll give her a hug and just kind of sit there.
So as we fade away from that, we transition through town, and we come to one of the more the shopping part of downtown. There's a variety of shops down here, from clothing to furniture, a variety of artwork and things on display, kind of a mishmash of a different kind of things that you can purchase. But we come to a building that kind of stands on its own, and on the the front of it, the sign. It's a shop called the Huntsman. As we open the door, we come to Georgie's place of work. Georgie, do you mind describing the Huntsman for us? If we're coming in as a customer, what kind of things do we see on display? What does the front look like?
It's big windows. There are 3 mannequins in the window, all of which are kind of one of them is formal wear, and the other 2 are kind of like business day-to-day kind of. One is like a suit for men's, and one is a women's wear suit sort of outfit. The formal wear one is like just, it's like the best, like what you would wear to a fancy dinner sort of bit. And as you walk into the shop past them, the walls are lined with a dark wood like shelving system. There's bolts of fabric on them, flannels, tweeds, all the good stuff. There's like green paneling along like the base of the walls. So this shop used to really cater to hunting wear, but has evolved since. They still have coats and things like that to cater to the everyday and formal wear, but its origins were in more utilitarian sort of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 counters. There's one in front of all the shelves to the side, and one at the back where people usually like begin initiating their business with the shop.
And there's probably 2 or 3 customers that are in there, but we actually go past the customers through a set of doors that are kind of marked employee entrance only, and we go into a back smaller area. It seems to be a bit of storage. You can see a variety of different boxes. It seems like this is where they store kind of the packaging material for when someone does purchase something. But then we see a curtain, and in the back we can hear the sounds of things kind of twirling, people talking. It's a low murmur, but it's the sound of work. Parting through, we actually come to the actual warehouse where many of these outfits are actually made. How large, how of a employee base kind of works for the Huntsman in the back? Do you have quite a few workers there, or is it primarily just Georgie and a few others?
It's like a rotating staff of maybe 12-ish sort of number.
Mm-hmm.
At any given time, though, in the back, there are at least 5 different workers.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what needs to be done that day. There'll be like a pattern maker,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll manage cutting everything up, and then there'll be somebody who does like the test sort of garment
Mm-hmm.
from that, and then somebody who will do the sewing of the final garment, and the detailer sort of person. And then there's hopefully, if they can manage, as somebody who will quality check it before it goes out for like the customer.
And so it's probably about around noon by the time that we're seeing Georgie in the back. Can you describe what Georgie looks like and what Georgie would be doing at this current time, kind of midday?
Midday. Well, she is roughly 5'4" something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A very kind of like sharp, pointy face. Just a very rough stare, like she just doesn't play games, despite her youth. She's slim, but like not stick. She's built from having to do all this physical labor.
Mm-hmm.
And she would probably be in the middle of grabbing patterns in one hand and bringing bolts of fabric to somebody else's table at this given time,
Mm-hmm.
because they're in the midst of cutting or sewing, and she's just we have to do this faster, guys. The client's coming. We have to go.
Mm. So kind of
So she's,
making sure the back is running properly.
yeah.
Does Georgie like her boss?
She tolerates him.
Mm-hmm. What's his name?
He is Horace Pennington. He was very good at his job until he basically got into the money portion and decided he didn't really want to be there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of dumps everything on her.
Mm-hmm.
And go, like, he's hardly ever there.
Mm.
So she has to deal with running the shop when he's usually not there. And while she's like kind of resentful of that,
Mm-hmm.
she's also really ambitious. So she's like, hey, I can actually just name me foreman and pay me what my due is.
Mm-hmm.
But he like won't, because he wants that title. Like, he wants to be the sole proprietor sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, he still sees you as just a seamstress, and a young seamstress as that. So regardless
Exactly.
of, you know, he doesn't see all of the deals and all of that stuff you make. He just sees you as another number, someone to make him more numbers. So yeah, as you're kind of going through and grabbing some patterns, getting some rolls, you shift a bit of fabric around, and you notice something fall to the floor. It looks like a small letter or envelope.
I'll pocket it, drop off the fabric, and excuse myself. Check on the front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you head out to the front. There's probably, you know, just one main salesperson out there that kind of see you, but they're busy with a customer, probably doing some measurements to get the right fit. So you kind of duck back, and the envelope, it has your name. It has Georgie Green on it. It's in kind of a interesting, you know, it almost looks like it's typed on there, but there's almost the element that you can see handcrafted, you know, writing. It looks very kind of fine. The back of it has a wax stamp on it with it seems to have some kind of symbol, but it's not a symbol that you recognize.
All right. I will grab some order forms, like I'm going to review them, and just open the letter in front of it, so I don't look like I'm doing anything different.
As you kind of put it amidst a few things, so it looks like you're just kind of checking off some orders and going through what you normally do. And you pull out the letter. The letter itself is on a fairly fancy parchment. And again, it seems to be in some kind of a hand type craft, you know, very, very fine writing. And it says, Georgie Green, you've never really been part of a family. You've had to watch from afar. We have been watching as well. We have seen that your eyes no longer see the world as they have for so many years. We have the ability to open your world far further than anything you can reach now. More than the huntsman, more than the women you associate with, we can offer you a family and a chance to make that family grow. We have seen your abilities and what you're able to do with the greenery and nature. You thought you were being sneaky and hiding your tricks, but there are those that will watch. So we offer you an opportunity, a chance, to put those skills for good work. For you see, there's a group of individuals much like you that come from a variety of places that are dealing with a very dire situation that could use your green thumb. if you're willing, if you're able, and if you're interested, seek them out. They are called the Reaper Soldiers. You can find them in the pit, or ask around. You never know who might have the right answer. We are the fighters of the darkness, the wielders of the light. We will continue to watch and wish for much delight in your life. And it's signed, but it doesn't actually have the signature of a name.
Okay. Going to fold it back up and slip it into my pocket and file this paperwork that I had originally picked up. I'll ask my associate in the back when this fabric came in that it was tucked into. And I'll ask them if anything was amiss during that order delivery, like that delivery receival.
Okay.
Because she's suspicious. As if somebody's like toying with her.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you actually roll and investigate here, as you kind of begin to question the back room, just to see what their accumulated knowledge might actually be. So what tags do you think will help you to figure out the answers you are seeking as you question your coworkers?
I mean, would business connections work?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We'll do that one.
Okay. Perfect. So then we'll just use investigate, and we'll see what we get. All right. So you have one
I didn't
question.
want to say anything,
but it could expose you to danger. Could be fuzzy or part untrue, or someone can ask you a question back. So as you're going around and kind of trying to get to the bottom of this delivery, do you have a specific person that you ask, or do you have a specific question that you tend to ask everyone?
I want to say I have a specific person to ask.
Okay. Who is that? Who's like your... Is it your most talented worker? Is it your friend, or your confidant? Who is it that you trust with this information, or to at least ask this question and know that they're not gonna raise concern with it?
It's the pattern maker.
Okay.
Because I have to talk to him the most in regards to like work and all like the finer details of actually making clothes. So I'll ask him like, was this like delivery the normal receipt, like, or was there anything strange about it when this collection of bolts came in, or that sort of it?
Yeah, let's call him Evan Lane. He kind of looks past you and then looks down at the bolts, and he actually goes through them. Wait, to be honest with you, I thought this was one of the orders that you had placed. I came in early this morning and I had seen it back there. I thought it would have been one of the late night deliveries that you have gotten a few times. The fabric, I mean, it's similar to the designs we had in the past, but it's a bit newer. Yeah, it was here when I got in this morning. I know that much. I didn't see any paperwork with it, though. You saying you don't know anything about it, Georgie?
Not at the moment, but I will check in with Mr. Pennington and see if this was his doing or if this was a mistake.
I mean, it's
Um,
beautiful fabric, don't you think? This will go great
it
with
is.
our summer collection.
Yes. We'll find a use for it. Somebody will fancy it.
Oh, absolutely. Limited to
Um,
release. The boss is always happy when those things come around. So.
I'll buy it all. I need new clothes. Mine are covered in blood.
Well, we're in the downtown area,
Mhm.
so come on down. All right. Thanks, Evan. We'll figure this out. I'll get to the bottom of this.
Absolutely. All right. Well, he kind of begins to keep working, tracing his designs and doing all that. So as we kind of fade away from you in the back room with this new letter, we transition through town, kind of up and over the city, traveling through the many tenements of the ethnic borough with a variety of different lights and Chinese lanterns. You can almost feel the different smells of the more unique kind of cultural foods. And we cross over the river to a bridge. The bridge probably has 2 carts moving over it, a couple of families that are just trying to get out of these western slums. A few individuals on these carts will be covering their mouth, coughing. They just look very dehydrated, very pale, sickly. Going past them in the opposite direction, heading into the district, there's, it looks like a funerary cart that might be going to transport bodies of the dead. Maybe the cart of another priest or pastor that's making their way to offer final rites or whatever else that might be needed. On the side of the bridge, we kind of follow some footprints that seem to lead away from a door that's on the side, and it goes around the back of some buildings to what appears to be a well. Standing around the well are 3 individuals, Mike, Eric, and Blanche. You all have just made a discovery that there is a body in the well. You've also found what appears to be a weapon of sorts, some kind of, it looks like broken piece of furniture that has blood on the end. That was buried underneath some strange graffiti that was kind of in the shape of an owl that kind of looks like a skull. With what you guys have just gathered, would you have planned to stay here for a while to continue the investigation, or to head out so that we could fast forward time a little bit and possibly reconvene the entire crew? What would your next moves have been?
Blanche would have pulled oh dear, I'm forgetting Oz's character's
Eric?
name. Eric to the side and tucked some money into his hand, a fair bit. You can find your way back here, yes?
Yeah.
That little girl. Come back and find her somewhere safer to be. Use this.
I'll do what I can.
Sure, we can find a hotel or something in another district where this isn't a worry.
Yes,
She's not going to get better as long as she's here and exposed to this.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Just tucks the money into a pocket of his jacket.
And I will know
Don't
if
worry.
you don't spend that on what I've asked you to.
I know you don't have any reason to trust me, but trust me on this.
All right. Well, I have a lead to follow now, so I should probably go and get some research done. I would like to. I mean, we can probably go to the pit first, but at some point, I would like to go to a library and start trying to piece together some of the information that we've gotten.
Okay.
You know, what the between the disease and the piece of furniture and the owl thingy on the wall. So.
Okay. I think what might be useful here is, let's say we transition kind of to later evening, and we'll do kind of a montage for everybody, so that way you can each individually spend some time doing some things, and then we can decide where we're all at. Don't feel obligated that you're all in one certain place. If you have a specific path you're going on, that's completely fine. So we'll say that we have probably from where we are now, right around noon, late afternoon or early afternoon, and transitioning to later the day, probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock. So with the montage move, you do have the options of giving attention to one of your logos, which means you have a specific part of your identities that you're working to better. You can work the case, which would be something kind of like what Blanche is doing, going to a library or questioning people where you can get some clues. You can explore one of your mythos, which is a chance if you feel like you're being pulled in a certain direction with one of your mysteries. If you feel like it's towards this case, or if that's what's distracting you from completing the case, you can spend some time with that. You can prepare for your next activity. So this might be going, if you're injured, or say you decided to swallow some spider venom, going and clearing your stomach a bit, or it could be, you're about to go into a fight, so arming yourself with weapons, a variety of things you can do there. Or you can recover from your last activity, which is, again, kind of dealing with your statuses as they were. For William, I will say that with your time in the hospital so far, I think we can remove the twisted ankle and drop the burned palms, bleeding sides down to a tier 1 status.
Yay!
So you're definitely feeling a little better, not completely better, but getting there. And so we can kind of fast forward now as we see each of our figures or our characters. We'll start off with Blanche. You kind of head on your way to find a library. Right now, you're kind of, again, you're looking like a late 30s, kind of older 40s, blue collar worker, right? Wearing kind of a darker work suit. Kind of looks like she just came right from the industrial district. She has the auburn hair, right? Did you say it was curled, or was it just kind of tucked away?
It's kind of a curly, frizzy mess, because she purposefully put together the current look to be more, I just got off of work and I'm kind of exhausted.
Absolutely.
So,
and as
it definitely
you
looks like she's been out and about all day, so it's kind of all over the place.
As you travel to the city, do you take trains? Do you find a cart? What's your method of transportation?
Train. It's the most what would you call it?
Accessible.
It's easiest to blend in.
So as far as transportation in the city, there's a few options. There's the train, and the train goes through most of the main districts, downtown, the industrial district, blue collar, the old boroughs. It doesn't really reach as far as the slums, so you do have to walk there. And there are a few routes that seem to head a bit further outside of the city. There's a variety of carts that you can hire, kind of personal taxis as you were, and then there's more public transportation, omnibuses, which are fairly large carts that allow 20 or so people to move around on them. So that's kind of the main way you go around. So Blanche, you're heading back to your local library. That's the Heritage Library. Is that correct?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I'm going to my library.
Yeah. So you
Make an appearance anyway.
You head back there, and as you work the case, you're looking through the books or talking to the individuals there. You get 3 clues to basically ask towards the case as it is. So as you study these books, what kind of questions are you trying to answer?
I want to figure out what the typical cause of, it's cholera, right, that we're dealing with? What the cause of that usually is. We know that we need to clean the water, but if we have a better idea of what could have caused the outbreak in the first place, we might know where to start. I would also.
Well, we
like
can
to- oh, go
we
ahead.
can start
Sorry.
with that. That way, kind of answer one question at a time. So yeah, you're actually able to find quite a few books that, well, you might not remember yourself, but maybe your grandparents remember an event called the Big Smell, in which a lot of uh, the river was tainted with a lot of human waste, causing a very large outbreak of cholera to exist within the city. Cholera seems to be spread by consuming contaminated water or food, but primarily water, because it does seem to work through there. As far as the kind of the symptoms and all that, you can't keep anything in. There's a lot of excess waste. You become dehydrated. It gets so bad that you can actually start passing away from basically not having enough resources for your body to continue to carry on. But one thing that does kind of stand out to you is that the death rate does not seem to be as quick as what's happening in the slums. This outbreak was only reported just a few days ago, and there's already reports that more than 100 individuals have died from it. So it does seem that whatever this is, whatever version or whatever type of cholera
It's
this
much more
is,
severe.
yeah, it's moving much more quicker, or it's being able to affect more people, like spreading faster.
All right. Next question would be I'm looking for owls used as symbology throughout history.
Okay. So you actually are able to find a bit of information. It's not always specific towards owls, but towards kind of a variety of birds, crows, ravens, kind of the darker birds. That the owl for a while has represented two things: darkness, night, moon, but also wisdom, clarity, and in some cases like feminine fertility. A lot of it references old, almost like cave drawings that are from the original inhabitants of the city. But new reports will actually lead you to a gang that is called the Beasts. That there's actually a few news articles you may have been able to find where they seem to use a variety of cave-like drawings on their crime scenes, but they were located in the Cross End district, which you would recall is the one that was submerged now beneath Emerald Lake.
Okay.
Oops.
Out of those news reports, what was the most recent? I just want to see like what the time difference between that and the Emerald Lake happening was.
So the most recent would have been probably the three murders that took place. There were three pretty grisly murders in Cross End about a month ago, in which bodies were found where their chest was torn open, almost like a beast got into it. But there was reports that this kind of symbolism of it was more man and beast, bears and deer and elk, but there were definitely some birds there that were around all three of these murder locations, drawn on the wall, on the kind of on the side of a box, kind of up high, as if somebody crawled up to put it kind of on the edge of a roof over the scene. But yeah, probably about a month ago is the last reference to them.
Okay. And I'm sorry. What was the difference in time between that and when the Emerald Lake happened?
So those were about a month. The Emerald Lake occurred about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Okay. So it was 2 weeks before
Yeah,
the
about
Emerald Lake
2 to
happened.
3 weeks. Yeah, about.
Okay. Was that all 3 questions?
No. Still have one more.
Okay. Third question. Does anybody else have a question they would like answered? Anybody?
Nothing right at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
You can always save it.
Yeah, I'm gonna save it because I don't know what else to ask without metagaming.
Yeah.
I know what the broken furniture means. I'm not sure that she would.
I mean, I'm not sure that you do, but you can definitely.
I have a fair idea.
True. Yeah.
So. Yeah. Okay. Assuming that this is all linked back to weird otherworldly stuff that like what we've been dealing with lately, she's gonna look for stuff for mythology and folk tales and whatever where like wood weapons would specifically be used.
I mean, definitely the primary are more of the animalistic creatures.
Calm down with that now. You don't need that kind of. You don't need that kind of information. It's okay. No.
So you find quite a few tales of ancient, beasts that used to hunt the woods, that would kind of kidnap children and consume their blood. The only way to kill them was through a wooden stake through the heart, and it's kind of fairy tales and the scary stories you would tell to the children. You do find some historical accounts about, again, the ancient tribes that used to live here. They would only hunt certain creatures with their wooden stakes. The rest they would use kind of their stone and rock arrows. And those beasts were the kind of more wolves, is mentioned. The wolves of the wood, but also snakes. They would not use the stone and rock weapons. They would only use kind of wooden stakes to kill any of the snakes in their area.
Okay. Awesome. Well, once I am done my research, I think I'm actually, because you said it's evening, I'm gonna slip outside, turn back into myself, and then go in and make arrangements for a carriage to take me home.
Okay, absolutely. So let's talk with Eric. Eric, you've had kind of a rough day.
Yeah.
Your leg, it's feeling better, but you look down, the cast is kind of a sickly tan brown-ish color. There's mud and other just nasty bits that are kind of stuck in the wrinkles, and it's every time you take a step, there's that squishing sound. But yeah, it seems you have some money in your hand and a task to do, but you have some free time. So what would Eric do on his, again, still his first day, his first task with the order? What would you be spending a few hours doing?
The first thing that I would want to do is maybe see a professional to get this recast, so that I don't have this disgusting squish thing going on, which then I also won't have to be quite so careful about where I step. So if there's anybody like that around here, I mean, I'm right by the ethnic borough. If I know any doctors that were over there, I'd go check them out.
Yeah,
See if
I mean,
anybody
this
can
is
help me out.
probably not Eric's first time breaking a bone.
Yeah, it's
with
definitely
your
not.
stunts and all that, so you might actually have a local doctor that you're familiar with. So yeah, for this it would be recovering from your last activity. So for each ongoing status still affecting you, the MC will tell you if and how it can be reduced during your downtime and by how many tiers. Alternatively, the MC can allow you to reduce any or some of your statuses by 1 tier for each relevant tag you have. So we have a couple different things on here. You could probably take a shower to get rid of the garbage smell.
Yeah.
So we'll clear that one off. Showers, Mike. That's all you need. And it's probably not a shower because, again, it is 18th century. So it's probably
it's
a
a bath,
wash basin and
with,
changing
instead
your
of whiskey.
clothes and all that. I don't necessarily... Let's see. So we have the temporary cast one and a restrained broken leg. Right now, though, the reason it was so high is because it had to be kind of up your leg fairly high, so you didn't have as much movement.
Right.
So a professional might be able to get that below your knee. So again, it's more of just a pure boot, and it would be more solidified. It's not going to be just cloth, so a bit more waterproof.
Yeah.
So I think we could probably drop that temporary cast down to probably a tier 2. Well, actually, no. I think we could probably clear the temporary cast. Yeah, let's clear that, and we'll just keep the tier 1 restrained broken leg, as it's professionally done, and it's still a broken leg. It's just not going to be as intensive as it currently is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the paranoia is still there because, again, you're still on your first task, and you're with all these weird people, and you just saw someone invest venom, and there's a little girl that grabbed your hand and you touched her nasty hand, and no matter how much you scrub, like, you're just not sure if you got it all off.
Right.
So yeah, I think you're still a bit paranoid. But yeah, you head home or head to the doctor, get that repaired, and then yeah, well, do you have any other plans for the rest of the day? I know Blanche is headed home, but once you go and fix yourself up, what would you be planning?
It's probably about time for me to pick my sister up from school at this point, I would guess. So I'd probably do that, go home, have a quick dinner or whatever. But then I'm going to do the thing. Well, I'm going to start looking around to see if I can find some place that I can put up that little girl. Because I was definitely serious about doing that. So I'm gonna see if there's anybody that I trust. I mean, she was completely alone in that house, right? I mean, she didn't have any relatives left, right?
No. I mean, it was kind of an apartment building, but the place that you saw her go into, it just seemed abandoned. It almost looked like people had probably been in there and taken stuff. Like, it did not seem like a safe place for a 7 or 8 year old girl to be living on her own, but it was her home. It's the only thing she knew.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find somebody who would be willing to take her in, somebody that I trust, who would be willing to take her in, clean her up, take care of her for a while she gets healthy.
Okay.
And of course, the money is, on offer, but I'm not going to offer all of it right away because then they'll just be like, well, how much more do you have? So,
well, talk to me about your community a bit. Like, we've already established that it's the place you live. It is just useful for that. It's a lot of cinder blocks and gray and not a lot of green and play, but it's evident that there is a sense of community. You have a teacher, or a retired teacher that says, we understand that, the girls don't have access to necessarily all the public schools, so bring them here and I will teach them. Is that sense of community felt throughout, or is that kind of localized to key figures kind of within it?
It's fairly generalized, although there's, some sections that keep more to themselves than the others, but yeah, it's actually because everybody is an outsider here, so there's that sort of uniformity in like not being from around here that kind of it's not always the closest place, but usually people are looking out for each other.
Yeah, I think kind of within your building, you know of a lady probably in her 40s, Lydia Litvinenko. There was an unfortunate situation a few years back that she actually lost her son to illness. Her husband's been out of the picture for a long time, but she's still always very kind and caring towards the children. She's kind of the go-to babysitter for the younger families when they need someone to watch their children.
Perfect.
But yeah, she opens the door. Oh, Eric, what brings you by today? And who's this? And she looks down and sees the little girl that you've somehow convinced to come with you, to come stay elsewhere. And she's just kind of, again, holding your hand, like you can feel just the wet moisture on it, but you've pushed past that, like you have a task.
Right. And yeah, I mean, probably before just dragging her over to somebody's house, I would have tried to help get her cleaned up a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you probably spend some time, there's kind of a community wash basin within the apartment slums. Pretty nasty, but you're probably able to find one of the individuals that you saw taking some of the buckets away from those barrels that you had seen those 3 individuals kind of hanging around. The barrels that looked to be stolen from a brewery in town. So you're comfortable that the water's clean. You probably grab a few things from the house, what's left, a blanket. She might have a little stitched doll, something like that.
Right,
make her feel comfortable. Yeah, do everything you can to kind of clean her up. You might even, find some of your sister's younger or smaller kind of clothes and grab a few of those and get her cleaned up as best as you can. There's still kind of that scent on her, which is going to take a very long bath, lots of steam and soap to clean it. But you've been able to at least clear the dirt from her hands and kind of cleanse her face a little bit. And it seems like even if this is the first time that she's kind of experienced being fully clean, just the slums are kind of a dirty place that have only gotten dirtier. It's definitely a step up for her. I think at some point she would have told you her name was Ella.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah. So yeah, Lydia's standing there kind of looking down at Ella, smiling,
Hi, Lydia. Sorry to be a bother. I met this little girl earlier today. She's from the West Slums over there. She's had a really terrible time. I'm hoping maybe you could just kind of look out for her a little bit.
She
not for free, of course. I wouldn't expect that. I do have a little bit in order to get supplies and food or anything like that, but I couldn't leave her there, and I thought if there's one person that I would trust to help this little girl, it would be you.
She kind of looks at you, places her hand on your cheek, and kind of rubs your face. Oh dear, you've done the right thing. She kind of kneels down and grabs Ella by the sides of her face and gives her this long look in her eyes that kind of shows sadness and understanding. I've heard the horrible things that are happening there, child. Yes, you can stay with me. You can call me Lydia, and absolutely, I have a room that'll be just great for you. It'll be very comfortable. We'll keep you warm. We'll keep you safe. Are you hungry, dear? And Ella kind of shakes her head. Come with me. Come with me. I was just making cookies, and I have just the one for you. And Ella kind of grins, and she begins to, Lydia kind of stands up and points her towards the dining table, and you can see a bit of, steam coming from a cooker kind of in the kitchen, and she goes and grabs a seat. Or she begins to walk towards the kitchen, but she stops and she turns around, and she just runs and kind of grabs onto your waist and gives you a big hug. Mister, thank you. Thank you. It's kind of all she can say.
Don't worry about it. I kind of ruffle her hair a little bit. I'm like, don't worry. She'll take good care of you, and I'll just be around the way. I'll come see you whenever I can.
She smiles and kind of goes to the table and kind of sits there, and you see, she has to get up on the chair, and her feet are kind of swinging back with a bit of child content, feeling safe and comfortable. Lydia kind of stands and sees you, holding the cash in your hand, and kind of just grabs your hand and says, I never really got rid of all of Mikola's stuff. I think I think it might fit her as well. There's no money needed. I insist
that you take it. This is it's probably going to be hard. She might be a little bit ill. She might need some doctor visits. I insist, please.
She kind of looks, hesitates. All right, very well, for the girl.
And I'll be around to check in every once in a while, or if you need anything from me, you know where I am.
Oh, of course. I have no doubt that you'll be informing your mother of this. I'll make sure to bring Ella by and have her meet the family. You've done a wonderful thing here. What's occurring over there? I've heard tales.
It's worse than you've heard. I saw it. It's horrible.
She kind of leans in close. It's so close to us. The district is not that far. You seeing it with your own eyes, do you fear it might spread here as well?
I'm afraid that it could, but I also know that there are people working on it, that hopefully we can get that cleaned up and put behind us. It's not written off. The West Slums aren't written off.
Well, that's good to hear. All right, well, she kind of smells the air. It smells like the cookies are getting just about done. Did you want one for your way, Eric?
I would love one.
Absolutely. Just wait for a moment, dear. She goes over and grabs oven mitt kind of off the side, puts it on, opens up the cooker and pulls out a tray of cookies, kind of picks up two, puts them on a small plate, brings one over to Ella, sits down, kind of whispers something into her ear, and you hear them both kind of laugh for a moment, and she comes over, and it's still hot, but it's still good.
Thank you again for everything.
No, thank you. She'll be fine here. She kind of looks down. Are you okay, Eric? What happened to your leg?
Just had a bit of a spill earlier. It's nothing major. I'll be fine.
Well, you be careful. You have that show coming up in a few weeks, right?
Oh, I know. I plan on getting some rest, getting some pressure off this as soon as I can.
All right. You rest well. You say hello to your mother for me.
I definitely will.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Sort of goes.
So you head back up home. So let's follow up with Mike real quick. So Mike, everybody kind of begins to head their own way. It's kind of late afternoon. What does Mike want to do?
I'm not feeling so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your stomach's. You got a really bad case of stomach sickness, heartburn.
I think it might be a little worse than that.
A little bit.
What did Mike do now?
Mike was
Bitted by a spitter.
he was, yeah. Mike tried to suck venom out of his hand and ended up swallowing it.
What? Okay.
Welcome to our world.
All I did was punch my way out of a cop van. Mike tried to eat a spider.
Yeah, yeah.
Good job.
So yeah, Mike is trying to recover. Where would you be going towards, like the clinic in the old boroughs, kind of towards home as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think they'll be able to get some charcoal and pump your stomach. You might spend a few hours kind of puking up your guts, but they get you hydrated. So we can clear that poison status down. I'm not sure this is going to make you less sore though. I think your body's going to be going through a bit of a strain to get this poison out. So I think we keep the soreness where it is for now. And then after you spend a few hours in the clinic, do you just head home?
What time of day was it?
By the time you're done getting sick, it's probably about 6 o'clock. Once you're released and heading out from the clinic.
I'd probably head to the pit and kind of tidy up at the warehouse.
All right. Of course you do. So, as you begin to make your way to the pit, are you traveling by cart? Are you walking? What's your method?
I probably would just be on foot.
Okay. So you begin to walk a bit. It by the time that you're kind of getting out of the edge of the slums, kind of walking through the back kind of field, it's getting pretty probably close to 7:30 or so. So the sun is very, very low. There's a bit of gray light still around. And you make your way to the road and begin walking towards the pit. You get probably a good, I don't know, half a mile away from the pit when you notice that there's something off to the side of the road. It looks like wooden. And so you begin to approach it. And as you get closer, you see like a couple wheels that seem to be snapped off. Like you see one that's laying on the side of the road. Big, looks like deck. It's been snapped in half. And as you get closer, you start to recognize that that's your cart, but it's been almost destroyed. As you begin to get within, 20, 30 feet from it, you can hear heavy breathing, not steady, slow kind of whine coming around the side of your cart. You can see your donkey's laying there. It appears that its back legs have been broken from the crush of this cart. Getting close to it, it looks like something heavy, like jumped or landed on the cart, snapping the cart in half, coming down hard on the back of the donkey's legs, and the donkey is now very injured.
Oh. By very injured, how just how bad?
Like both the way that the cart hit into it snapped both of its back legs. Like both back legs you can tell are broken. In 18th century standard, like probably that's get the shotgun Billy. The horse has gone lame. But who knows? You might know a special vet or something like that, so You tell me. The donkey's got 2 broken back legs. Your cart is destroyed. What would you like to do?
I'll get the shovel.
Let's look around the area, see if I can find a cart or something that would be sufficient to put the donkey on.
I mean, you know that if you keep going the rest of the way, you could probably just grab one of the other carts, because by this time of day, everybody's returned their stuff. So you could probably take someone else's cart, and you're a big guy. Find a way to load the donkey on it.
Yeah, there'd probably still be somebody there that's just finishing up. Had a hard day.
Yep. What do you plan to do with the donkey?
I'm gonna take him back to the pit,
Mm-hmm.
as the supervisor's probably still there as well, and let her take a look at it. She's supervisor for a reason.
All right. So yeah, as you're working on that, let's catch up with everyone else as they have a few hours. So William, you spend some time, just holding your wife, talking to her. She doesn't say a lot. You were missing for a whole night, and showed up in a hospital after she received word from one of your boss's bosses that you were bleeding and not doing good. But you have a couple hours in the afternoon. What would you like to spend your montage doing?
What is it? Prepare for your next activity?
So for preparing your next activity, tell everyone at the table how you prepare, and you can either choose to recover any burnt tags you have, gain 3 juice with a method based on your description, or you can choose from the effect improvements from Change the Game.
So I'm gonna recover my burnt tags because I need to do that.
Okay.
So I'm just basically gonna spend time in the hospital since I'm here anyways, and just kind of relax, fill in my wife on what happened.
She definitely, once she starts talking, she expresses her concerns that she thought you had left because she had told you that she was pregnant. She thought that she had scared you away, but she's happy that you're back. She's a bit angry. Yeah, you're lucky you have that loving wife status. That one, if you didn't have it, she might be a bit more mad. You might be suffering injuries in the hospital. But you spend the rest of the night there with your wife, kind of talking and recovering a bit more. And then, Georgie, you have a few hours as well. I think what we'll kind of plan is we'll go through the rest of the day, and then we'll start in the morning, kind of see where everybody is. So what do you spend the rest of your afternoon doing?
I will finish the task at work. Mulling over the note because I'm curious, but at the same time, fairly pragmatic. So it's just very suspicious. Closer to the end of the day, maybe around like 6 or 7, she'll probably begin walking home. And I guess like absentmindedly, she'll just, I guess, have a seat somewhere quiet and just like kind of just toy with like a weed, like realizing that she can kind of make it move to her will, all the while still just mulling over the note. But that's about it. She'll sleep on it and make her decision in the morning
So
as to whether she...
do you feel like you're more working the case itself, kind of want to ask questions regarding the note, or do you feel like you're more kind of exploring your mythos, you know, trying to get an idea of what do they mean by using my green thumb, that kind of stuff?
I believe she'd probably explore her mythos.
Okay.
Despite the fact that she's mulling, she is leaning towards her curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So she would just kind of like, why is this, like, mulling over why she can do this,
Mm-hmm.
how anyone's noticed, and how the note came to be at this point in her life.
Okay. So you can go ahead and mark attention on your how can I find more seeds of power theme. And then you gain 1 clue with a method and source based on your description. So it sounds like, are you using kind of the knowledge that you have itself, or are you wanting to, in a way, kind of speak to the plants and see what they know? What is your method of getting these answers?
She would probably just ask them directly. It's just, she's a direct sort of person, so she would just kind of go that way first.
Okay. So what is your question then, towards your mythos and kind of towards the case and all of that?
It's like, what let me think. It's like, what are you trying to tell me?
Okay. Yeah, as you're kind of sitting near your boarding house in Rubble Square, you kind of have a little garden off the side that you like to just sit down in the dirt and put your hands in the grass and just kind of feel it. And you start to watch as you're, you know, almost braiding the grass, and you see it begin to move in a way that you're not necessarily controlling it, or maybe it's a subconscious thing. It forms into the symbol you had seen on the envelope. Kind of a round symbol with it looks like almost an eye on it, but more triangular. And around this symbol, you start to see things sprout out from it. It might look like veins, but you recognize it as roots kind of pop out of the bottom. And then you start to see something grow from it. And from the symbol, you see this large tree begin to form, large sturdy trunk, again, kind of being displayed in the moving grass in front of you. Grass is laying down on top of each other, twisting to show this large tree with this many branches and many boughs kind of hanging high and tall and bowing down towards you. And you see it kind of moving as if there's a wind going towards it. But it seems to say that with this symbol, with whoever it is that sent this, they might be able to provide you they might be a seed for more power. If you want more power, this might be the way to get it.
Okay. She'll go in, and it's just turn in for the night per usual.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, she'll arrive at work, but ask to call for their usual courier. They have like a partnership with, I guess, like a cab company where it kind of helps ensures deliveries get there on time. And she'll call upon him. A client at the pit requests an audience.
So you would know the pit is the garbage dump.
Yep.
So there's probably only one person there that would Request an audience. Let's see. Who would that be? That would be... I could have sworn I wrote her name down. Let me check here. Come on, Mike. Who's your boss?
Mike doesn't know.
He doesn't even remember.
Mike's microphone's muted. I don't think he knows.
Let's see. Secretary. I believe it's Lisa, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Lisa. Yeah, so, yeah, I think you might have dealt with Supervisor Lisa at some point. So you're sending a cab to... I guess explain again what you were...
I'll call for the cab to take me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you doing that tonight? This night?
No, like, she'll go to work under the pretense that it's for, you know, a client. So she'll go to work, she'll call the cab, say there's a client at the pit, and then she'll just go as if
Okay.
it's for work.
Okay. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of go through the rest of the night. Everybody, you know, kind of rests for the day, refocuses on the next day. And then the plan would be to reconvene at the pit the next day. So, Mike, you're able to bring the donkey in. I think Supervisor Lisa, like, at first she slaps you really hard, saying, "Why'd you bring this shit to my doorstep?" referencing both the donkey and the constables that were there before. Kind of questions you a bit about what did you do, and then she stops because she really doesn't want to know. You're one of the best workers there, so, if you happen to kill someone... just bring their body back here kind of situation. Yeah, she kind of just says, take the donkey over there. We'll see what we can do in the morning. She might be able to get a doctor out here or a vet and see if they're going to be able to do anything. So as we head into the night, let's actually take a quick break here. When we come back, we will have everybody heading back to the pit on the next day. Does that work for everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. So we can get everybody back together. I'm going to go grab some water. You all should do the same. And I'll be back in about 5 minutes.